afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to mix up some beef and broccoli, and I found the recipe on Pinterest over at Fox and Briar, and Megan over there has a great recipe here that we decided we would try. She calls for 1.5 pounds of flank steak, but we had 1.5 pounds of skirt steak. Since those are pretty interchangeable, we just went ahead and used that. We sliced it thinly against the grain. And that's a real key when you're working with flank or skirt steak, is to slice it against the grain. We also used a tablespoon of soy sauce and a tablespoon of brown sugar in place of the oyster sauce that she calls for. Then we mixed in a tablespoon of cornstarch, a tablespoon of water, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and mixed that all together and put our meat in there to marinate while we go ahead and work on the rest of it. Now we're going to start chopping up our broccoli, the head of broccoli that I have over here. This head of broccoli I bought from S&M Produce, Sunny and Mary Orth at Mexico Farmers Market nearly 3 weeks ago, and it is still just as fresh and crisp as you can imagine. We always love our produce from Sunny and Mary. This spring I think we lived off of spinach, and now we're into their lettuce season and broccoli and cauliflower. In about 2 or 3 more weeks, they're going to have some delicious tomatoes that we will just gorge ourselves on. But what we're going to do here is we're going to cut the stems off and just use the florets off of this. We're going to toss the stems over to the side, and we'll use them for something else later. But this head of broccoli is going to give us about 3 cups of florets, which is exactly what the recipe calls for. So just chop those stems right off. And then what we're going to do is set that aside after we get it all chopped up and get ready to make our sauce. You can see I don't like leaving much for stems on there. Beef and broccoli has always been a go-to for me when we go out to eat at a Chinese restaurant, because I'm certain it's not going to be too spicy for me. But after we made this today, Mike looked at me and said, we don't need to be going out to Chinese anymore. You can just make this at home. I like this so much better. It's not as slimy and the meat doesn't get as tough. So here's a great way. Normally at a Chinese restaurant, you're going to spend $10 to $15 for 1 serving, and this made 3 large servings. He ate a big helping, I ate a good-sized helping, and then he took another helping and a half probably for his supper tonight. So obviously a hit, easy, quick, takes about 30 minutes from start to finish. Okay, so now we're going to make the sauce for this beforehand, and we're going to put 1/2 cup of beef broth. You can see it didn't quite get dissolved yet, but it's close. 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And then we're doing the tablespoon of brown sugar and a tablespoon of soy sauce to make that happen. There we go. Six cloves of garlic minced. 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6 cloves, a tablespoon of fresh ginger, grated. I didn't have any fresh ginger, so we're going to use some powdered ginger. A tablespoon of toasted sesame oil. And 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. And we're going to whisk that all together. So here we've heated up about a tablespoon of oil in our cast iron skillet, and we're just adding the meat that had been sitting in that little marinade for a while. Just single pieces. All we're doing in here is browning that and getting it cooked through. You want your skillet nice and hot so that there's a good sizzle when you set that meat down in there. 3 minutes and it's about ready to come off. Just pull it off after you get the first batch gone through, set it aside, start in on the next batch. You only want to do one layer in there at a time to make sure you get it good and browned on the outside. Then after you get it all browned, you will take and put it all back into the pan with the broccoli and the sauce. Here you can see I probably could have used a Dutch oven about now. I've got that pan filled to the rim. It takes about 3 minutes to get that broccoli cooked through, and that's really all you're doing, and letting your sauce thicken up a little bit. The cornstarch in that sauce just needs a little bit of time in the heat to get it nice and saucy instead of liquidy. And so you just keep stirring it around to make sure everything gets good and coated. And then, like I said, that takes about 3 minutes. And then you're going to have a delicious, delicious meal. We served this over a bed of fried rice. And like, I honestly, if I'm at a restaurant, I prefer to eat it with lo mein noodles, but here at home, fried rice reigns. So that's what we're doing there. And here's the finished product. Beef and broccoli served over fried rice, made quick and easy at home, from slicing the meat all the way through the cooking process, probably no more than 30 minutes. Enjoy.